Okay, I'm sorry, I was supposed to go earlier, but I feel quite sick, and as you can see, I'm still shaking. But I do want to present what I prepared for you, and that is the topic of the film industry and the problems within it. And especially the thing that I'm interested in is the lack of female characters and their bad characterization in film and TV shows and such. This is also tied to literature and books, so that's why the name. And of course, what is it? What is this about? The archetypes and tropes are something used typically in a movie. So when you're watching a movie and you have characters, you can, you can tell what type of characters they are, negative, positive, and some of those characters occur so much that the tropes were even named, and that's what I want to present. So I listed some of the most common tropes for women in film, and as you can see, you have quite a lot of them. Many of them have also their male counterparts. So for every cool girl, there's a cool boy. For every girly girl, there's a manly man, and such. Of course, the ones that are probably the most interested are the ones that are mostly called out by film critics as very bad to use. And when you're a writer and you're writing a book, you should avoid using these characters. And that is the Mary Sue. The Mary Sue character is something that you want to be. So when you're writing a book and you have a girl character, and she dresses the way you would like to dress. She has a typical skill that you would want to have. She's a Mary Sue character. Mary Sues are usually positive presence on the screen, and they usually die for a greater cause. Of course, they have dramatic past or childhood, and everybody loves them. Then the femme fatale. This one is well known, probably. You can tell she's a femme fatale because she's wearing, I don't know, black clothes, red lipstick. She lures her man in and then she tries to kill him. The manic pixie girl is incredibly common these days. And how to tell if a character is a manic pixie girl character? Well, she is someone who would you want to date. So when you're imagining a partner and they have certain characteristics and then you write them as a manic pixie girl, well, she's idolized. She serves for a greater purpose to deepen the man's inner life, and she makes him feel alive. And she's a fantasy. And so I checked the internet for some of the most typical characters like this, and that is Bella Swan. You know Twilight, probably. And Bella Swan, why is she a Mary Sue character? Bella Swan is an ordinary girl. She doesn't have a certain talent specifically, but she's special. You know, she's ordinary, but she's special. Everybody loves her, everybody is willing to die for her. Of course, the Catwoman, typical femme fatale. Usually comic book characters are femme fatales. And then, well, what better movie is there to illustrate the manic pixie girl character than 500 Days of Summer? This movie actually tries to debunk the trope. And so Tom, the character in the movie, there's Tom and Summer, they have a relationship, and Tom refuses to see the telling signs of the imminent breakup. And we never know what Summer's thinking, you know, she doesn't give him what he wants. So they break up eventually, but Tom still feels, you know, like he deserved the relationship. Of course, there are characters that challenge this stereotype of the manic pixie girl. As you can see, I put the quote from The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is a very good movie. Okay, so why is it? So when you there's a disparity between female directors and male directors. Of course, you don't have that many female screenwriters in the first place. So when you don't have a lot of females in the industry, of course, the shows, the movies, the books lack the female point of view. And what's funny though is that most cinema goers are actually female, and they're not getting the characters in all their complexity. So there's the Bechdel test, and you'd say that those 3 pointers are easy to pass, but some of the movies can't even pass the does the film have at least 2 female characters in it. So I listed some of the classical movies that you might know that pass surprisingly or fail the movie. Of course, if you're interested in this test, you can Google it. And if you're about to watch a film, I encourage you to Google if it does pass the Bechdel test. One of the film critics actually poked fun at this test and said that she has her own, and that is the sexy lamp test, which goes that if you can replace the female character in the movie with a lamp and the story still works, then your movie is probably not that good. Ava DuVernay. Selma is a movie that was on last year in the cinemas. It's about Martin Luther King Jr., about segregation in America in the 1960s. And she didn't receive an Oscar nomination for this film, for directing this film, which caused an uproar in the community. Of course, the Academy Awards, known as the Oscars, are known for racism and sexism, but still, people thought it unfair that she didn't receive a nomination. Female leads in movies are also rare, and but I want to talk about adults playing teenagers in a film. This causes little girls to have negative body image. Now here in this room, we are teenagers, we are 16, 17, 18, and when you have teenagers in a film played by 20-year-olds, then those teenagers question themselves, why don't I look like that? And the truth is that you're not grown yet, not grown as they are, and well, okay, you can see the picture. This is Viola Davis, known actress for her movie The Help. Brilliant, really. Last year there was a breakthrough show on television, How to Get Away with Murder. I encourage you to watch it. And she won an SAG award, and she actually spoke about ageism in the industry. There are scarce roles for women over 40 in the film industry, and Meryl Streep actually joked that from this age on she will probably only play witches and stuff like that. So you don't get to be a complex African American woman, because of course I'm mostly speaking about white characters, but if you would look at it from the racial point of view, there are just, some few black characters that are also complex, as she got to be on this show. Of course, the female antagonist, because female leads are usually protagonists, they're positive. But last year we had a negative character as a lead of a movie, and that was Amy Dunn in Gone Girl, directed by David Fincher. He also directed The Social Network. You might know her, the movie Seven. Many people were actually scared by Amy's rage. Amy is trying to get back on her husband for cheating on her. And in the process, she kills, she murders, she becomes a Gone Girl, which is also the title. And well, much is to be said about Amy as a character, but the world fears women like that, fears women that are scary and cold and frigid. And also, you might know the Game of Thrones, and I read the books, and I wanted to talk about Cersei specifically because she is an antagonist, and when I talk about the show with people, they often say that they hate her, and I ask why. And the reason that they might hate her is because her storyline gets cut and cut and cut. And so the book Cersei is actually a very complex woman who fights for her children and wants them to be well off and tries to protect them from their enemies. But in the show, she is a drunk who, you know, constantly just nags her brothers about. And actually, what's funny about A Song of Ice and Fire and the Game of Thrones actual show is that many characters get cut from the books, and the storylines also get cut. And on this season, the season 5, most of the characters cut from the books are female. And also there's Sansa. I wanted to talk about Sansa because the world doesn't actually see very specifically feminine characters in a good light. They also try to, you know, they try to tell them, you know what, I'm not a girl like that, I'm not a girly girl, those girls are stupid. And Sansa's not stupid, she's very strong actually, but you can be feminine and strong. And so I wanted to encourage you when you're watching films and shows to think. And when you are paying for a ticket to go to the cinema, the least you could do is have an opinion on what you're seeing and if you are actually getting your money's worth.